and welcome to the series of Tony Talks. Again, my name is Tony Gouchard, and we are speaking with Laura Utterback today, luckily, from Newmeyer and Dillian out of Newport Beach. She specializes as a senior partner in construction, which plays very well into what we do with bringing properties into compliance both in federal and California. So today, what topic do you want to discuss today, Laura?
Okay, so being a lawyer by trade and in the construction industry, this might sound odd, but how do I counsel my clients to avoid getting snared into an ADA litigation? What can they do proactively?
The best thing to do is what the state of California recommends, and that is to have a CASP inspection. Now, you want to make sure that your CASP inspection includes the interior and the exterior. For instance, if you own a small retail center and it has 4 units, let's say there's a fast food restaurant, a gas station, a nail salon, things of that nature. You also have your tenants. So you want to make sure that you have a CASP report that extends to the exterior of the property, the full property, not just a single property, but the entire parcel. And you also want to have the tenants so they know what their exposure is. 75 to 80% of these lawsuits originate from the exterior. So when the exterior has been brought into proper compliance, then they're starting to move into the interior.
So it sounds like a domino effect of sorts.
It is, and we thought as ADA professionals that one day, once we started making all these corrections on the outside, that the lawsuits would slow down. However, these aggressive law firms that are filing these lawsuits, they're just becoming sharper and sharper. They've hired their own CASP inspectors to get into the details of the code, and they're using that against the property owners.
And Tony, remind your audience what CASP stands for.
CASP is Certified Access Specialist Program, and what they are is a group of inspectors that have been qualified by the state of California by a series of tests and certain credentials to only perform accessibility inspections. They don't go out and take a look at the roofs, they don't look at flooring, framing. All they perform is accessibility according to federal and California.
And if I understand correctly, there are only 1,000 of such CASP inspectors within the state of California, and you are one of the 1,000 elite, correct?
I am. And in addition to that, I'm an ADA design professional and an ADA expert contractor, and we self-perform all of our work in-house so we can maintain control since it's such a difficult and critical task.
So going back, again, being proactive for me to counsel my own clients that own commercial property, so I would counsel them to hire yourself.
Yes.
You would go out and do a completely comprehensive CASP report of, let's say you use the example of like a strip mall, so they would go exterior to interior. You would provide them with this extensive CASP report of any and all violations. Then what happens?
Well, once we provide the client with that full CASP report, now keep in mind, not all CASP reports and inspectors are similar. And like every trade, there are good ones and there are bad ones. So you want to make sure you do your due diligence. One of your main questions that you should be asking your CASP inspector is, have you ever worked on the plaintiff's side? Now, if they've ever worked on the plaintiff's side, my opinion is you do not want them on your property. Some of these CASP inspectors may be going on your property without you knowing about it and reporting back to these aggressive law firms information. So do not be afraid to check in and ask for a resume from your CASP inspector, because that's what we're seeing lately. So yes, you're absolutely right. Without delay, you should request your commercial property owners to obtain a complete CAS report immediately. And then from there, our company provides a formal proposal to make the corrections. In addition to that, we highly suggest a city permit. One, because it's required, and two, it provides some protection. Some of the protections we can go into at a later date on how the property is protected with that city permit. And then from there, city official approves the project, the inspector signs off on the permit card, and then we provide at no additional cost a second CAS re-inspection to make sure the city inspector hasn't missed anything.
So basically, those steps would render my client that owns commercial property as bulletproof as possible. Is that correct?
That is correct, because what we will be providing to your client when we're finished is a complete CAS report, a set of approved plans that have gone through not only myself, but 2 other CAS inspectors' review before they're submitted to the city. We're finding historically that the majority of the cities will approve these plans and there are multiple mistakes. Then the contractor builds it according to the plan, city inspector signs off on it, and then the property owner is still left vulnerable for lawsuits. So we catch all those errors. Before we submit to the city at ACR, we go through three separate CAS inspectors before we submit.
Okay, wow. Well, clearly I'm going to be going straight to each and every one of my clients that owns commercial property and saying, let's get started to preemptively, proactively keep them from getting ensnared in what's the new ambulance chasing kind of lawsuits. Is that correct?
You're absolutely correct. That's what I would highly suggest. And thank you for the clients,
Yes.
by the way.
Of course.